Okay, so let's get right into it. This morning, anyone watching the markets got a pretty big shock. Oracle's stock was up over 30% before the opening bell. I mean, that is a huge jump for a company this size. So the big question is, what on earth happened? What could cause that kind of explosion right after an earnings report?
Well, that's what we're going to do here. We're going to unpack the real story behind those numbers. We're going to peel back the layers of this earnings report to figure out why Wall Street suddenly decided Oracle is a massive player in the AI revolution. It's a really fascinating story about strategy, timing, and one absolutely mind-blowing number.
So here's how we'll break it down. First, we'll look at the headline numbers that got everyone's attention. Then, we're going to uncover the single most important number that explains this whole thing. From there, we'll dive into the big picture AI strategy driving it all, check out Oracle's secret weapon, and wrap up with a forecast that is, honestly, just jaw-dropping.
All right, so let's kick things off with the top-line results. Now, on the surface, the quarter looks pretty strong, but not necessarily let's jump 30% strong. The real story, the one that lit a fire under the stock, is hiding just beneath these numbers.
Okay, so total revenue up a solid 11%. Cloud revenue up a very impressive 27%, but this is our first big clue. Look at that cloud infrastructure line, what they call IaaS. That number is up an incredible 54% year over year. This is the engine room where the giant AI models get built and trained, and that kind of growth is the first hint that something really big is going on.
But, okay, even a 54% growth rate, that doesn't quite get you a 30% stock pop overnight. No, the real bombshell, the number that sent actual shockwaves through Wall Street, was a little something called RPO, or Remaining Performance Obligations.
$455 billion. Just let that sink in for a second. And let's be clear, that's not their market cap, that's not a valuation, that's their backlog of future business that's already under contract. To give you some context, that number is up 359% from last year. It's almost unbelievable. This is the number that had Wall Street just completely floored.
So you're probably asking, what exactly is RPO? Well, think of it this way. It's the total amount of money that customers have already signed on the dotted line to spend with Oracle in the future. So this isn't some hopeful forecast. These are signed, sealed, delivered contracts. For investors, it's pretty much the best crystal ball you can get for a company's future growth. So how in the world did they pull this off? Well, CEO Safra Catz basically spelled it out for everyone. In a single quarter, just 3 months, they signed 4 separate deals that were worth billions of dollars each. This isn't just a small uptick. This is a fundamental shift in demand. And it's pretty much all coming from the biggest players in AI who need a place to build their technology. All right, so we've got the what, that insane $455 billion backlog. Now we need to get to the how and the why. And that brings us to CTO Larry Ellison's grand vision for how Oracle fits into this new age of AI. You see, Larry Ellison, he doesn't just look at AI as, another business opportunity. He sees it as a full-blown tsunami. And his entire strategy is about riding 2 huge but very different waves of that tsunami. And if you can understand these 2 waves, you can understand Oracle's entire AI strategy. So what are these 2 waves he's talking about? Well, the first wave is AI training. That's all the stuff we hear about. Companies like OpenAI and xAI spending billions just to teach their giant models. Oracle is winning massive contracts here by building super-fast data centers. But Ellison's big bet is this. He thinks the second wave, what he calls AI inferencing, is going to be so much bigger. That's when every company in the world starts using those AI models with their own private data to actually do stuff. And this is where it gets really interesting. It's in this second wave, this inferencing gold rush, where Oracle believes they have a secret weapon, something they've been perfecting for almost 50 years. Think about it from a company's perspective. Here's the huge problem they're all facing. Everyone wants to use AI, right? But you can't just upload your secret financial data or your private customer lists to a public AI model. The risk is just way too high. You need a way to bring the AI to your data, not the other way around. And this is their genius solution. The new Oracle AI database. It's so simple. It's brilliant. Step 1. Your super sensitive data, it doesn't go anywhere. It stays locked up safe and sound in your Oracle database. Step 2, that data gets vectorized, which basically means it's translated into a universal language that AI models can understand. Step 3, you can then plug in any of the big AI models, whether it's ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever. The result? You can ask your data anything and get incredible insights without ever risking its security. That is a total game changer.
Okay, so we've got a massive backlog, we've got a killer strategy. What does this all mean for the bottom line, for the actual revenue? Well, let's just say the forecast they gave out had jaws on the floor.
I mean, just look at this. They're projecting their cloud infrastructure business will go from $18 billion this year all the way to a projected $144 billion in just 4 years. That's an 8 times increase. And the crazy part? The CEO, Safra Catz, made it clear that a huge chunk of this future revenue is already in the bag, locked in with that $455 billion RPO number.
All right, let's just put all the pieces together one more time. You've got this absolutely massive, legally binding backlog of $455 billion, proving the demand is real. That demand is being fueled by a brilliant two-wave strategy, hitting the AI training market now and setting up for the even bigger inferencing market later. And their secret weapon, their moat, is their 50 years of database leadership, which is key to winning that enterprise business. And it all adds up to a growth forecast that completely changes the game for this company.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. The people who do this for a living, seasoned Wall Street analysts, were practically speechless on the earnings call. John DiFucci from Guggenheim, a guy who's seen decades of tech earnings calls, he called it a career event. I mean, you just don't hear analysts talk like that. It really shows you how big of a moment this was.
And all of this really brings us to one big final question. For years, people have kind of looked at Oracle's database business as this old legacy asset. But what if that entire time, that legacy business was secretly the perfect foundation, the ultimate launching pad for dominating the next 50 years of AI? Judging by that 30% stock jump, that is exactly what the market is betting on right now.